This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty. All right. By the way, Manny, I heard that Mario Cristobal is about to take an NFL job right on signing day. Is that true also? Because that would be a real class move by any coach.
Hey, man.
Seriously, isn't that a major dick move by Harbaugh? He's been stealing money for years. Finally came up with a decent season. He's been getting his ass kicked and handed to him by Ohio State and Michigan State for years. He should have decided to leave the day he got eliminated from the playoffs. The next day say, hey, I'm thinking of the NFL. To do it now? And this is the part that the Dolphin fans don't get. If Ross does this even now, it's even worse in Michigan's eyes.
Of course.
Because not only are you taking Harbaugh, you're taking him during the signing period where reportedly they've got a top 10 class overall. So I'm looking at that. I'm going, can you imagine Ross signing Harbaugh away during signing day of Michigan? Oh my God. That's
that's gonna piss a lot of people off in Michigan, certainly. But
he won't be able to show up again. He won't be able to show up again. Period.
No.
He won't be able to.
Well, that's why all this kind of stuff, as far as college coaches moving around, you usually don't hear too much of this happening until after signing day, because contractually they try to leave on good terms, and that means leaving after signing day because you've sort of fulfilled your duties, right, for that whole year. But hey, man, it's business is business, right? I mean, it's a cutthroat world now, and guys like Jim Harbaugh and all these coaches, man, they're just looking for the big payday and the next opportunity, and it's the way it is.
All right, talk to me. Shamar Stewart, Mason Thomas, Ahmed Moten, Matt McCoy. Give me some words. What's the word?
Yeah, well, I mean, you do these recruiting weekends, everybody goes and they have fun, right? And then they go back home and it's time to make a decision. So that's what the last 24 to 48 hours is going to be like, right up to signing day. And, I don't want to disappoint Miami fans and say it's going to be a bad day tomorrow, but my gut tells me that, I don't think they're going to end up getting Shamar Stewart. I think he's going to end up going to Texas A&M, which if you sit back and look at it from a general college football fan perspective, not through Miami eyes, Texas A&M has basically been his leader from Jump Street. They've had him there on campus more than any other school. Miami just added Mario Cristobal in December, and while Miami is the hometown team, this is a kid that is nationally recruited. He's a top 10 recruit in the country overall, 5-star kid. So do I have any intel saying for sure he's not coming to Miami? No. It's just more of a gut feeling and more of a conversations that I've had behind the scenes with people at Miami that, they knew that they were playing catch up with Texas A&M. So if he doesn't pick Miami, I don't think anybody over there is going to be surprised. They'll certainly be disappointed.
So what's the NIL deal he's got over there and why he's going there? Huh? And why isn't our crazy billionaire giving him something even sweeter?
Well, I don't want to give away all my inside information, but from my understanding, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I think it's pretty even between Miami and Texas A&M. So I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I mean, listen,
so he's gonna be an Aggie, and it's even. If it's even, he's going to be an Aggie.
That's my gut feeling. Now, that's not to say that within the next 24 hours, Grandma doesn't sit there and says, I really love to see you play, and be able to go to your games and be close by. But for this kid, as much as I've talked to him here in the past couple of weeks, and Mo Marquez,
he's raised by Grandma.
He's raised primarily by Grandma in Miramar.
Okay. So I was gonna ask you. Ask him if his mom named him Shamar because she loves Shamar Moore, the actor. Because it's
very well could be.
I guess it's almost like since Shamar has come on the scene, the women have obviously gone crazy, and so I'm every time I see a young kid named Shamar, I'm thinking, his mom was thinking Shamar in bed and then named him Shamar. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, you know what I'm saying? Because the ladies are all thinking Shamar. And so it's just, so when you see him say, hey, was your mom a Shamar Moore fan? And that's why your name is Shamar. You got to ask him that. I got to ask him that if I see him one day. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, go ahead.
I'll be at his announcement tomorrow. It's at 1:30 over there at Pace High School, and there'll be a
All
lot
right,
of
so you
people
know what
there.
to ask him. All right, you know what to
I
ask
will.
him.
That's going to be my first
At the
question.
end. No, at
I'll-
the end.
I'm going to find his mom. That'll be the first
Don't
question
do
I ask
what
her.
cringe. Don't do what cringe used to do to us. In you remember cringe? You remember cringe?
I remember the stories. Go ahead.
Cringe was classic. I mean, cringe we would have a heat game, right? And we'd all gather around Tim Hardaway, and Hardaway had 31 points, 10 assists, 2 steals. You know, Hardaway's in a great mood. He's looking at his stat sheet, going, "I'm over 2.5 to 1 in assist to turnover ratio. I'm on the fat scale. I'm doing good. Riley's gonna pay me my money. You know, that kind of stuff." And here comes cringe. First question. So give us a preview of the Atlanta Hawks. And there's like Tim Hardaway, like, "Yo, man, come to practice tomorrow and ask me about the Hawks. We just played the Lakers right now and beat their ass." You know, it's like, it was one of those. Cringe had the worst questions at the worst times, and that would be a cringe one too.
Hey, listen, there's always a cringe around somewhere. I feel like that guy still exists.
You guys have a cringe? You have a cringe?
Man, there's always those cringy moments for sure. There's always those cringy moments. A lot of people posing as journalists nowadays, Big O. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's right. I forgot. But it's changed since I don't do the beat stuff anymore. That's right. That's right. I've been
a lot of pretenders out there
for over 10 years. So yeah, there's the world has changed. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I got a website. I'm a media guy. Yeah. Exactly. No, I know what you're saying.
But listen, I think tomorrow, more likely than not, I wrote this for The Athletic today, that I think it's probably a couple of offensive linemen. If you get lucky, Shamar Stewart says yes, he's going to come here. And then maybe one of the Cardinal Gibbons kids. I think the Moton kid, the defensive tackle whose brother played at Miami previously, I think he's had a relationship with Miami's defensive line coach Joe Salavea from Oregon, because they recruited him to Oregon. Okay. So they know him a little better. Moton is a kid that Miami really wasn't on at all until Mario took over. Again, this is the one thing I'll say, for people who are going to be negative tomorrow or say, "Oh, Mario still hasn't hired a coordinator. And oh, look, he lost the wide receiver coach of Georgia. And look, everybody's ready to jump down the Miami coach, right? The moment there's any sign of struggle, because they're paying as much money as they are." But I'll say this, it's hard for any coach to come in a month, right before the early signing period, and then, a month or two before, and load up on guys when you have to sort of reestablish these relationships with kids. And a lot of times, a lot of these kids, like Dave Iuli, for instance, the kid that was committed to Oregon, they go on the last recruiting trip, right? He ends up going to Oregon this past weekend. All of a sudden, he's like, "You know what? I live in Washington. Do I really want to fly all the way to Miami to play? And my parents are going to fly all the way cross country to come watch me play?" So that's the kind of stuff that ends up happening a lot, especially the kids in February, even though they take the extra time to make a decision and they want to take all these extra visits. A lot of times, if you see a pattern where a kid, their last official visit is to go to the nearby home school, that can be trouble for whatever schools are trying to pull them out of state. And Iuli is another kid that Miami was on, a 4-star offensive lineman from Washington, as I said, that I think at this point, Miami felt really confident a week ago. Now a little less confident because he ended up visiting Oregon where he was committed before. So yes, Mario had a previous relationship with him and the whole thing. But again, for all these kids, there's different factors to play in. And sometimes it's hard for the new coach that first year to have the kind of impact he wants. I think without question, Miami's going to have a tremendous 2023 signing class. I think Miami will be top 5, but tomorrow may be an unspectacular day for the Hurricanes if they don't get Shamar Stewart.
All right, but let me ask you the concerns with the coordinators. Like, what are the delays, bro? Like, why haven't you hired a damn coordinators already? And like Ken Dorsey, they're talking that he's going to go to the Giants with this guy. Why not go get him and bring him here? I don't know. Maybe he's not much of a recruiter. I don't know.
I think a lot of these guys and there's kind of 2 layers to this. One, I think Mario has taken a long time interviewing people. He's interviewed a lot of people, right, for both sides of the ball. He's kind of put out feelers. He's kind of said, well, if I go down this path, this is what I'm going to do. If I go down this path, this is what I'm going to do. He's interviewed a lot of people this time around, and maybe this speeds up the process in a year or two when he has to replace the coordinator because they leave or whatever. But I think he's taken a long time with this, and he's been very picky. in my mind. I think he's been very picky, and I think there's been some guys that ultimately have said the other layer to it is they don't want to coach in college. There's a lot of college coaches who look at the situation now with NIL and the transfer portal and like, you know what? In the NFL, there's only 32 teams, right? There's only 53 spots on a roster. Guys are going to stay with the team they're supposed to stay with. Who want them because they're locked in. And college, look at all these kids. Look at how many kids are in the transfer portal. Look at how many kids are and the recruiting aspect of it, the kissing the kids' asses, the way that they have to kiss these kids' asses nowadays, and mama and Uncle Joe and a lot of these guys are like, why do this? Why go through this process when at least in the pros there's a professional mindset? These guys know there's money coming in. I have to feed my family. I'm gonna do what this guy asks me to do.
All right.
So that's the explanation I got for you, bro. I hope it's a good one for the listeners. I hope
I get it. It's just kind of weird that you're coming up to signing day and you would figure you would use the coordinators as extra tools to go recruit.
Well, I think
those are two less people you have now out on the streets recruiting for you and specifically representing what you're going to identify as on the field. You don't have the two individuals that are going to talk about what I'm running on an offense, what I'm running on a defense, and how you fit young men into this scheme and that, and how I envision you. You don't have that. You don't have that guy.
No, and of course it's a hindrance, right? I mean, in a perfect world, Mario would have come in and within 2 weeks, hired the coordinators and had a perfect plan in place. But this is the other aspect people don't want to hear because, we're Miami, we're spending money. Again, aside from the fact that the NFL guys, a lot of guys don't want to coach in college, this is a tough place to coach too, man. The expectations are through the roof now, right? With how much money they're spending.
As we've said, what he did in Oregon is not good enough here.
Right. Exactly.
It's amazing. You got a job to do something even better than what you did in your other job.
Right. It's a pressure cooker, man. This place is a pressure cooker. And if you come here and you fail, it sets you back a couple years. You go back to being a position coach somewhere or a coordinator at a G5 school or something of that nature.
Right.
And again, it takes the right guys. I think Mario is being very deliberate. Has it hurt him? Can we say it's hurt him? Maybe. But we really don't know because if he signs two great coordinators next month or later this month, and Miami ends up winning the ACC, we're just going to say, well, he took a long time.
Right.
But he got the job done. So it's too early to handicap and say whether or not this really hurts the program. I think here's something to know. Okay. Even if you don't have, Miami lost Brian McClendon to Georgia, the receivers coach. Even if you don't have staff, assistant coaches per se, you can put recruiting guys out on the field and other staffers, quality control people. And a lot of these guys are young, hungry guys that are trying to prove themselves. Yes, they don't have the cachet of the coordinator, but a lot of times these are the guys that call the high school recruits anyway and talk to the recruits anyway. They're the ones who really have the relationships. The assistant coaches come in when they have time to deal with them. But for the most part, it's the DeMarcus Van Dykes and the Edwin Patas and all the younger guys that are on the staff that are basically handling the day-to-day operation recruiting. So I don't think it hurts Miami in the recruiting front as much as maybe it might be perceived. I think ultimately a guy like Shamar Stewart would love to know who his defensive coordinator is, but he's going to pick Miami or Texas A&M probably for a lot of other reasons.
Yeah, money. All right. Any other news outside of the coaching and recruiting that we should know about?
I'm trying to think. Is there anything left? Oh, the schedule came out yesterday, right? The ACC schedules. Miami's got Clemson the next to last game of the regular season. They close with Pittsburgh. It's going to be an interesting finish to the season, right? I mean, usually
Pittsburgh lost their QB, so
right, but they picked up
a little bit of a transition for them.
But they picked up Slovis, who is that USC transfer. We'll see how good he ends up being if he ends up filling in the way that they have. But and Clemson. I know that they still won 10 games last year, right? And they still have probably the most talented.
They actually got better as the year went on,
right? And they got one of the best freshman quarterbacks in the country coming over there, maybe the best high school quarterback in the country coming in. And we saw what Trevor Lawrence did as a freshman, right? It could happen again with this kid that they picked up from Texas. So I think those last two games are going to be tough, but otherwise, it's a pretty balanced schedule. Like you don't have major monsters back to back to back. I think, you look at it from that perspective, that's a good thing. You don't want to have all your best teams like 3 in a row. You want them sort of spread out.
With you there. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. More importantly, subscribe to The Athletic, baby, so you can get that wall-to-wall coverage and catch him twice a week here with our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report. Friday, by the way, we will be at Caneswear. So if you happen to be in the neighborhood for your Friday report, come on by and hang out for a couple minutes.
Sounds good.
All right, man. You got it. Thank you, Manny. Appreciate you.
Take care, man.
You got it. There you go. Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.